YouTubers, welcome to my channel Try It Yourself, and today's project is replacing coolant reservoir on my Ford Transit. If you're a regular on my channel, this is pretty much a follow-up or repair for the repair video about cracked coolant that I have, coolant reservoir that I have on my van. And I'm gonna show you what did not work, and potentially the previous repair should work or might work, but I probably gotta do a little bit better job on it. In my case, I give up because it didn't work one time. I just didn't want to try it again. So the new reservoir, like I mentioned in previous video, it cost $100. But I think the reason why, because they have this metal bracket, so the whole thing together it's $100. You know, really, I really don't need this new bracket. But that's how Ford makes money. You know, they try to sell more and more, selling the part that you need, and more they try to sell you like assemblies and stuff like that. So anyway, I tried to do the melting, welding, whatever you're gonna call it, the crack on my tank. It did not work. It seemed at first that it does work, it wasn't leaking, but one thing you have to remember: the coolant, at least in the Ford, is actually pressurized, so it's constant pressure over there, and with the heating up coolant in the system, somehow I noticed that coolant was actually sipping through the plastic. And the tricky part about welding plastic, unlike metal for example, it's really hard to find exactly same plastic, because you know, when it was a crack, you want to kind of melt it together and fill up the crack and maybe put a little patch on top of it or something like that. And I think the plastic that I found over here in my garage laying around, I tried like 3 different kind, and the last one I thought is like pretty close to the formula on this tank, but apparently it wasn't. So when you weld the plastic, it actually changes the structure, it changes the color. When it's cool off, it kind of goes to the the same color. But anyway, it's tricky. I still think it should work. You just probably got to do a little bit better job on it, put more time in it. So if you're up for it, again, you know, $100, it's a lot of money. So just to play with the different kinds of plastic and try to fix it, it may be worth it. In my case, you know, if I have to stop it from the road and potentially stop somewhere, you know, like in a long distance, like driving anywhere, you know, driving like last load from Laredo, Texas, in the middle of the desert, 110 degrees, that's not fun. So $100 is a lot of money, but I pretty much give up on it. I don't want to take a chance, and because potentially it could cost me a lot more if it's gonna happen with me on the road. So anyway, that's why I'm replacing this one. So since it was sipping, my tank is empty right now, so I don't have to do some of the steps that some of you would have to do. But then again, normally if you're replacing the tank, most of the time it's gonna be empty. But if not, I'm gonna show you step by step. And for the better access, you might want to remove this headlight to get to the hose on the bottom, but then again, that's not necessarily. But then again, on the Ford, this is like a really smart. You have to just take 2 screws out. It's either flat screwdriver or Torx bit, Tori. 1 screw here, 1 here. You take this 2 screws out, light out, and you have a pretty good access. Go from the top, side, and bottom, and that's how I choose to do my repairs on this one. And when you remove it, it slides out really easy over here. You just have to twist the turn signal bulb, marker light bulb, and the harness to the headlight bulbs, and that's it. So here my tank is completely empty, dry. So to remove the tank you have two 8mm screws. One over here, one over there, and then clamps. One here, one over here, and one main hose over here in the bottom, and that's the bracket that they are selling you, which basically nothing wrong with this one, but I have to pay for the extra piece of metal. Just like that. Now to remove those holes you're gonna have to have either pliers or wide scrapes or something like that, or you can buy yourself a special tool. Like it's melted, so you're gonna have to take maybe a flat screwdriver and break it off. Yeah, since when you do that it's come out really easy. I'm gonna hide the cap. This part over here you just squeeze it and gently wiggle it. There you go, just like that. And now this clamp over here on the bottom. Secure it. Slide it down, and you gotta be careful because the coolant just at the very top right here. So the coolant was just fine. Basically when you have a working engine, it expands and you still stay above the dangerous minimum. It's definitely below the minimum because of my crack right here. So that's the repair, and when it's dry it seems there's no problem over here, but when it was working and it expands through this huge patch, somewhere over here it was dripping. So anyway, if you're gonna work, I don't see any other damage, so this was the only one, and it was just, if you could see it, you don't see a break or anything like this, but I was just absorbing this, and it was just sipping through like one drop at a time. And so when it was driving, obviously the crack, if you watch the original video, stopped like somewhere over here, but then again potentially crack could go farther down, so I had to do something. And since it was a weekend, you know, I took a chance, but well, it didn't work. Well, I didn't do a good enough job. So anyway, if you're gonna do something like that, just keep in mind that this thing is pressurized, and you have to find exactly same texture of plastic or consistency or formula or whatever you're gonna call that, because if it's gonna be a little bit different plastic, you easily actually gonna be able to just peel it off or roll it off or something. It's not even gonna stick to it. So to make it work, you have to find ideally, what I was trying to do originally, if you can see it over here, I tried to melt plastic from this bracket over here, use it over here, but well, anyway. So now I'm just retracing the steps, so nothing hard over here. Slide it up, just like that. Release the clamp. Well, at this point it doesn't really matter in what order you're gonna put it back together. You know, when it's up, it maybe could be easier to reassemble everything. Actually, this one goes in here. This part over here, see, it didn't go like super easy, but you have to make sure you force it in until those two tabs actually lock behind that groove. Otherwise, like I mentioned already, with the pressure, who knows, this thing could just pop or something. So make sure you push it far enough so this thing locks for real. Then you slide this one all the way. Then you slide the spring clamp, release it over here, just like that. And now the easiest part, you just bolt it to the frame. This is plastic, so you don't have to force it at all. Now make sure those hoses are secured. Remove this cap. Now fill it up with the coolant to the level over here. In my case, as you can see it, I did not catch any air in the system, so I just fill it up and I'm good to go. In your case, if you lost a whole bunch of fluids from the system and you trap some air, make sure you fill it up to the mark, run it, let it bleed, push the air out of the system, and then for some reason I'm dropping a lot of stuff today. Put the cap on, put the headlight on, and you're good to go. Thank you for watching. If this video was helpful for you, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to this channel. And if you have a project like that, that's not a big job, so good luck. Nothing to be afraid of.